Let's talk about a very specific phenomenon. A lot of white celebrities are rebranding back to white. Like, the black eras are officially over.
PSA, being white and skinny is in again.
The wigs are off, the tans are fading, the BBLs are dissolving. It's giving factory reset. Welcome to the Great White Awakening. Ariana Grande went from Blackiana to Audrey Hepburn. Kim Kardashian dropped this for her minimalist Skims arc, and now she's posting selfies with the Trumps and making weird ads with Elon Musk's robots. We lost Jamiroquai Bieber, although he seems to be making a little bit of a comeback here. We lost Bangers Miley, and Katy Perry, yeah, even she had a black phase. But now she's busy singing ballads and paying a $150,000 deposit to hold flowers up to the camera in a tone-deaf 11-minute space tourism trip. And they can do that because whiteness is always waiting for them. They can dip into blackness when it's profitable and slide right on back into whiteness when it's not. And that's privilege. And that's why a lot of people get really pissed off about these things. Because black people, we can't just wake up one day and decide that we're done being black. We don't get to drop the aesthetic when it stops trending. We don't get to hit undo on the discrimination, on the colorism, on the structural racism that is still baked into the world that we're navigating. But for white celebrities, black culture is just smart branding.
I said, sing like that little white black girl that you are.
And when they step into it, they don't embody blackness, they perform it.
Theme song at the beginning of all David Dobrik videos. This shit is funny as fuck.
Billy, why are you speaking with an accent?
Huh?
They turn it into a caricature that's even more dangerous for black people, and then they walk away from the mess that they helped create. And that's what this video is about.
I'll roll up to that wedding, you gonna be like, bak bak bitch.
Let's talk about a very specific phenomenon. A pipeline, a rite of passage, a canon event. It starts with a white girl. Could be a celebrity, influencer, nepo baby, doesn't really matter. But at some point, she decides that being white just isn't giving. It's not edgy, it's not interesting, and most importantly, it's not getting engagement like it used to. So what now? She needs a little more edge, a little bit more spice, some seasoning. Maybe something that'll give her a little bit more sauce, or at least look good in a photo dump. Something that'll get her pedestalized in a way that soft, safe, white femininity just doesn't hit. So they go looking for something to make them feel real. And in that pursuit, they reach for the most lucrative, convenient shortcut they can find. Black culture. Or at least a filtered, flattened version of it. Because they don't want the full experience of blackness. They want the rhythm, not the blues. They want the slang, the style, the street cred, the social capital that comes with being black without the systemic oppression, the history, or the constant threat of danger. And yes, there's a line between cultural appreciation and appropriation. They're definitely not giving anything back to the community. Instead, they're using it like a starter kit for building a personal brand, an identity playground they can enter when they're out of ideas and exit when they're done cashing the check. So today we're looking at two very different white girls who both took the same path. Alabama Barker, the rich white girl cosplaying hood princess. Too naive to realize that she's tangled herself in a world her 19 years of sheltered Calabasas life didn't quite prepare her for. She's surrounded by people who look like they were hired off Craigslist to be her friend. There are break-ins at her celebrity dad's mansion. Rumors of her sleeping with a man who once slammed Danielle Bregoli's hand in a door and punched her in the face. The other is Danielle Bregoli, aka Bhad Bhabie. Is it Barbie or Baby? Bhad Baby. Is it Bhad Baby or Bhad Bhabie? Who took her real suffering and filtered it through a black-coded persona the industry was ready to monetize. Surrounded by abusers, exploited from childhood, selling hypersexualized versions of herself online to an audience that started preying on her before she was even legal. We're asking, why do white girls keep running this playbook? Why do they treat blackness like a shortcut to self-discovery, a branding exercise, a temporary rebellion, while the black communities they exploit are left to clean up the mess? So let's get into it. How it started, where we're at, and why this pipeline doesn't just end in brand burnout or public backlash. It ends in reinforced stereotypes, weaponized aesthetics, and real harm for the Black people they play dress up in. If there's a blueprint for the white girl canon event of Black culture exploitation, Kylie Jenner wrote it. Before King Kylie, she was just the quiet younger sister on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. No one really paid that much attention to her. She was just one half of Kendall and Kylie, the mischievous Calabasas teenager.
You guys, I look hideous. Why didn't you tell me?
She was just a cute little sister. Her whole vibe was awkward teenager with a Tumblr face. But everything changed around 2014 to 2015, when Kylie made the most profitable decision of her career. She got her lips done. And through this seemingly small body modification, everybody kind of went mad, and I'd say she's the reason that 5 out of 10 white girls today get lip fillers like they're getting eyelash extensions. People were even sucking on shot glasses, bursting blood vessels in their lips to try and get the big lips look. The worst part about it was she lied about even having it done.
It is right to cop up to it. If you avoid a question, you're gonna look like a liar.
I'm not ever gonna deny.
And encouraging unrealistic beauty standards in a new generation of young women. In an interview done right here in New Zealand, Kylie didn't come clean and say that she got lip fillers. She said that she just started overlining her lips with MAC's Soar lip liner.
How does she get these beautiful lips?
Everyone thinks I use like one certain color. So I use like 6 different colors all the time.
Again, something taken from Black and Latina women. Boom! MAC's lip liners were sold out everywhere. And that's when she realized, hey, I can make some money out of this. First the lips, then the tan, then the lace fronts, and just like that, she wasn't the quiet little sister anymore. She was King Kylie. She even got her own Keeping Up with the Kardashians spin-off, complete with the perfect accessory, the Black girl best friend, Jordyn Woods. And as a young Black girl watching all of this unfold, it kind of hit a bit differently for me. I've always had fuller lips, not the biggest, but enough to be teased for them growing up. And then suddenly, Kylie Jenner brought big lips back, and the same features that we were mocked for were now trendy, and not because they were finally being appreciated, but because a rich white girl repackaged them. I didn't feel more beautiful because of this. I just felt kind of erased because obviously they didn't like it on me, they liked it on her. And this was when she started, or should I say Kris Jenner started, working harder than the devil, constructing her blackfishing era.
That's a lot of branding for mom to manage.
King Kylie was entirely manufactured to capitalize on all the newfound hype around her after she got her lip fillers. She became a Tumblr icon. It was kind of like her Lord Pure heroine era, dyeing her hair, wearing purple or blue lipstick. She had the air of a carefree teen, dressing grungy and doing her own thing. And that's what was really appealing about her at the time.
Super edgy and like more rocker, like girly goth.
But after a while, she changed track and started pivoting more into Kim's footsteps. And that's when she started caricaturing Black culture and features. She jumped onto the trend of exploiting Black culture and aesthetics and making them palatable for the mainstream, protected by, of course, her white privilege. The lip fillers, the wigs, the darker tans, the BBL coated body, the yucky ponytails and lace fronts, and of course, the rapper boyfriend, first Tyga and then Travis Scott. Having the Black boyfriend was important because she needed some proximity to Blackness. And at this point, Kylie wasn't just borrowing from Black beauty standards, she was building an entire empire on them. And what makes Kylie different is she understood that Black culture sells. Obviously, she learned from watching Kim, but it's safest and most profitable when it's worn by someone who still gets to be white at the end of the day. Because when white girls like Kylie wear lace fronts and slick down baby hairs or get praised for setting trends with yucky textures, it's historical and it's political. For us, it was never optional. Black women didn't start wearing wigs, lace fronts, or head wraps just to look cute. We kind of did it because we were forced to. In the late 1700s in colonial Louisiana, laws were passed to regulate how Black women could look in public. It was called the Tignon Laws, and it legally required Black women to cover their hair. Why? Because white women were jealous of all of these intricate styles that black women were doing, because white men were actually getting wandering eyes and being quite captivated by the hairstyles and even wanting to pursue these women romantically. And because black beauty was seen as a threat to the social order, we were told to hide it, to minimize ourselves, to make whiteness feel safe. It's still happening.
We're back now with a movement to fight discrimination based on how people wear their hair. We've seen the stories, black children being forced to remove their braids, even having their hair cut without parental permission, allegedly due to a school dress code.
Centuries later, black girls are still getting sent home from school for having braids or locks. Black women are still being told that our hair is unprofessional, that it's unkempt, or that it's a bit too much. Even in Africa, there are still schools that forced little black girls to shave their natural hair because it doesn't look neat enough for school. Gotta love colonialism. So that's why laws like the Crown Act had to be written, just to protect our right to exist naturally without punishment in 2025. So with that context, when Kylie Jenner steps into the spotlight with laid baby hairs and yucky wigs, she's wearing something that black women were criminalized for. She gets $1 billion beauty empire. We get detentions, dress code violations, job rejections. Through black aesthetics, she manufactured edge. She brought herself into relevance and desirability, and the world ate that shit up. She basically popularized the Instagram baddie aesthetic that we know today by copying the black women that her new black boyfriends used to date. Stealing their style, destiny swapping with them, for lack of a better term, and going on to kind of take their men. They're kind of known for it.
The way people try to play it off that Kylie made the whole thing up when it was just literally her copying black girls and black women, especially the exes of the guys that she was dating. Black China low-key had a huge influence and impact on the way Kylie started to transform herself. Because this is the Kylie we knew before. This was before her Tignon era. Now all of a sudden, King Kylie starts coming into the picture. Black China went blonde. She went blonde. All of a sudden, Kylie went blonde. Black China had that haircut before. And then there was Kylie who copied that same haircut with the bang. You guys know what I'm talking. And then this ain't the same Timothy. This ain't the same girl Timothy's with. You know what I'm saying?
She turned her blackfishing era into a $1 billion business, into $1 billion products, lip kits, beauty lines, social media influence. She even got crowned the youngest self-made billionaire off the back of aesthetics that she did not invent. And once she had squeezed every drop of value from that aesthetic, that culture, she ditched it.
The article references her very intentional move towards more of a mature, clean girl style, like how it's shown in the photo, and she even says herself that she's stripping down a bit. I don't have this long mane down to my butt, I don't have these lash extensions, I don't have these long claws. Even within the article, they say that while Kylie sees these trends as markers of her youth, a lot of other people see them as cultural appropriation of black women. That's the ultimate power of whiteness, right? That I can like these things, which we may want to denigrate, but I don't have to stay there. I get to come back to the safety of whiteness, because she can engage in cosplay without having to be subjected to the double standards that many black women are subjected to.
Because these days, Kylie is leaning into her old money aesthetic rebrand, subtle makeup, muted neutrals. She's ditched the curves for the heroin chic frame, more associated with whiteness and quiet luxury. Basically, the Sophia Richie soft white woman reset. Chanel two-pieces, pale skin, milkmaid dresses, and of course, a quirky white Oscar-winning actor boyfriend no one saw coming after Tiger and Travis Scott. She went from hot tubs with Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez and that infamous foot incident. Also, just to mention, she said and did nothing to support Megan Thee Stallion, a black woman, when she was facing a whole wave of misogynoir after the Tory Lanez incident. She actually ended up mocking Megan online by posting a picture of her feet. To making out at the Oscars, darling, with Timothée Chalamet looking like he would rather be anywhere else. Rebranding using the same tactics, but this time for a white rich audience, basically looking like a cardboard cutout of Lily Rose Depp. Kylie has returned safely to whiteness, leaving behind the mess while her playbook continues to circulate. Because while Kylie herself may have outgrown the look, the girls who followed her are still stuck in the pipeline that she designed. Kylie proved that it works. She proved that you can extract Black culture for clout and cash, and then retreat into the safety of white femininity when you're done using it up. She built the factory. The rest are just still manufacturing her blueprint, while she frolics with her rich white elite friends. Okay, so speaking of people stealing your identity, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I used to be that person that used the same password for literally everything, and I mean everything. So when I found out it got leaked in a data breach, I was in full panic mode. Then I remembered how many random accounts I've made over the years with that same password, and honestly, I just shut down. It was too much. I tried to fix it, reset everything, track down all the logins, be responsible, but halfway through I got overwhelmed and just didn't. So yeah, my password is probably out there somewhere, just waiting for somebody to steal my identity. If you're thinking, okay, but what's actually the worst thing that could happen? Let me tell you. People can log into your email, reset all your accounts, yes, your bank account too, open credit cards in your name, order stuff with your saved cards, access your iCloud, no nudes are safe, and worst of all, they can sell your info on the dark web, which is terrifying to me. Oh, and they can also log into your Netflix and completely ruin your algorithm, which is tragic. So when I downloaded NordVPN, the very first thing I used was their dark web monitoring. It scans sketchy hacker forums, including marketplaces on the dark web, for leaked data in real time. And when I checked mine, my info was already out there, which is insane, which means I was right to be worried. So if you like to stay safe on the internet, use my link nordvpn.com/aphrodisia or click my link in the description box for the best deal on the internet. It's not just the dark web stuff that they help you out with. NordVPN also alerts you if your data shows up in a breach. It blocks sketchy websites and keeps your connection locked down with next-gen encryption. I even use it to watch US Netflix in New Zealand, book cheaper flights, you name it. It's good for a lot of things. So if you want to protect yourself before it's too late and before your info ends up on the dark web like me, hit up nordvpn.com/aphrodisia or click the link in the description box. You'll get a huge discount on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months, and it's risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee as well. So just trust me on this one. You don't think you need it until you really do. Back to scheduled programming. Where Kylie used Black aesthetics to build an empire and then safely pivoted it out, Alabama is still deep in her hood princess fantasy, and it's getting messy. So let's start with who she is. Daughter of Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker, born into Calabasas privilege, Kardashian adjacent, raised with every safety net a girl could ask for. But that just wasn't enough for her. She wanted to be a bit more interesting. She wanted to be Bama. She wanted the attention and validation that comes with performing Blackness. So almost overnight, Alabama went from Disney Channel pop princess energy to full King Kylie cosplay. Braids, baby hairs, long acrylic, heavy black scent. Black grown-ass men in her 19-year-old circle. Black women reduced to props around her. She switches her accent like an outfit. One day, she is a Calabasas princess.
Okay, it's gonna look really dark, but just work with me, okay?
The next day, she's Bama.
You're thinking way too deep into.
Sorry, I just like doing that. But Alabama is 19 now, in that liminal space where you're legally an adult but still emotionally uninformed. She doesn't have a strong sense of self, so she's trying one on, specifically a black one. She's a real-time illustration of when someone prematurely commits to a borrowed identity without a real self-exploration first. Instead of developing her own sense of self, she's mimicking someone else's culture. Instead of grappling with the emptiness of inherited whiteness, the bland weight of being a white rich girl with nothing to prove, Alabama wraps herself in blackness.
As a white lady, I'm officially really uncomfortable watching Alabama Barker. And let me be clear, I've been uncomfortable, but I don't know what, like, I feel like the last like 2 weeks, she's reached a new level. I'm comfy.
But she doesn't want to be black. She wants to be perceived as authentic. And in this culture, authentic is often racialized. This is called the commodification of the other, where marginalized cultures become accessories, texture. And it all came to a head during a live stream where she tried to get her black friends to play Ding Dong Ditch in Calabasas, proving the whole point of the conversation around her cultural appropriation.
Choose a player to Ding Dong Ditch, but they have to kick the door hardest. All right, so we should go do that, y'all.
In this neighborhood, bro, and then we get arrested, dog. We get arrested, dog, attempted burglary, like, I ain't, you know, we black. It ain't gonna look good.
Thank God that these guys were actually self-aware, because they said, in this neighborhood, we could get arrested for attempted burglary because we're black. It's not gonna look good if we go busting down doors in Calabasas. And then Alabama had the audacity to tell them that they were thinking way too deep into it in a heavy black scent and everything.
No, we can do it. Let's do it.
And that's when it was clear to me that this little girl has no idea what she's actually doing. Her friend very aptly responded that these are the problems that black people are going through. It's real out here. And to all of this, she calls them boring, despite what that guy just said. And this has reignited the whole conversation around cultural appropriation. In this day and age, how can you not know that that is a bad idea? Oh, wait. It's because she's a rich girl from Calabasas. Duh. You're thinking way too deep into it. I just hear that in my dream. So obviously this whole thing was on live stream, and she turns to the camera and she says, oh, you see how boring they are? But of course we know they weren't being boring. Like, they were being real. They were reminding her, or just telling her in the first place, that what's a joke for her could be a death sentence for them. And this is why conversations about privilege matter, because Alabama was setting up her own black friends to be arrested, assaulted, or even killed. And she didn't even think twice about it because she didn't know a damn thing about it. She wanted their rhythm, not their blues. Meanwhile, there's a white lady who's set to become a millionaire for calling a kid the N-word. And the reason she's getting this outpouring of support is because of what this lady calls black fatigue.
Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman.
Just so we're all on the same page, she is talking about that white woman who's about to become a millionaire for calling a black 5-year-old boy the N-word. She is talking about a white woman who used a racial slur against a little black boy. And she is saying the reason why people are praising her is because they're sick and tired of black people's ghetto-ness and complaining and being perpetual victims. She's saying, oh my God, so what? We have done horrendous, heinous things to you and your ancestors for centuries. So what? So fucking what? Stop bitching about the lynchings and the racism and slavery and Jim Crow. And oh my God, like, let it go.
Basically, white people sick of black people talking about being oppressed. So as cool as it looks to be black, there's a lot of stuff that black people have to deal with. She's positioning herself as this down girl, and it's classic pick-me behavior. But here, it is layered with race and power. She's cosplaying black femininity, yeah, the hypersexualized, no-nonsense baddie, to gain proximity to masculinity coded as dominant. And that masculinity in this space is black male validation. Also, let's talk about how the men in the room are grown men. And this kind of shifts the dynamic from messy to predatory. Alabama, still being a teenager, is being affirmed, entertained, and even mocked behind her back by adult men while she stumbles through the borrowed language and aesthetics of black womanhood. She has no clue how dangerous this dynamic actually is, not just for her, but also for the black people that she's around. But they do. It's a child surrounded by men who benefit from her naivety, and it's happening in her own home. So where is her dad in all of this? Like, Travis Barker, where are you? We are looking for you. Absent, silent, busy playing Kardashian-in-law while his daughter live streams her descent into cultural cosplay and endangering Black people. So let's plainly talk about the image here. A white teenage girl surrounded by older Black men in her private, controlled space for public consumption.
But you guys should have been busting into that room and been like, look, girly, we need to adjust what's happening here.
White femininity has always symbolized innocence and protection and purity. Black masculinity, meanwhile, has been framed, especially in the American imagination, as threatening, hypersexual, and dangerous, something not to be trusted. This very dangerous binary that Alabama is playing into has killed people. It killed Emmett Till. It has justified centuries of surveillance, incarceration, murder. So when Alabama, blonde, baby-faced, white, posts herself in that context, the optics of it are explosive. She controls this scene. The men around her are just props in her story. And if something in the scenario was going to go wrong, we know how that story ends. Her whiteness, her youth, and femininity in this scenario make her untouchable. And the men around her infinitely vulnerable. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack. And then next in the pipeline, we have Danielle Bregoli, aka Bhad Bhabie. She actually has a pretty tragic story.
You throw a rock at me? Go ahead! Go ahead! You got one more time to hit me, Danielle. You got one more. Why are you moving, Dan?
And against all odds, she's turned that story into a kind of success. But at what cost? Before she was Bhad Bhabie, before the Gucci flip-flops and the Billboard hit, she was a traumatized child paraded on daytime television for the world's entertainment. Her own mother dragged her onto Dr. Phil, not to get help, but to humiliate her in front of millions. A mother who, instead of protecting her child, handed her over to a media machine that thrives off the public demonization of young girls in the troubled teens industrial complex. And let's be honest, society ate it up. People loved to mock Danielle. They loved to, you know, talk about the Cash Me Outside girl.
Catch me outside, how about that?
Huh?
Catch me outside, how about that?
They loved the mess, the chaos, the out-of-control teen stereotype.
Did you say the hoes are laughing?
Yeah. Why would this be the only clip you show of me? Why don't you show me being nominated for a Billboard award? Why don't you show me having multiple gold and platinum plaques? Why don't you show me being youngest female rapper to hit Billboard? Why don't you show stuff like that?
But nobody stopped to ask, what actually failed this child? Because while they jeered at her antics, this is what was happening behind the scenes. Her mother's boyfriend essayed her. Her own bodyguard assaulted her also. Dr. Phil sent her to Turnabout Ranch, a so-called rehab that was really an abuse farm.
They take away like necessity privileges, like sleeping on a bed, eating good food, not being cold, and he ended up killing one of the staff members. They made all the kids that were at Roundy come down, and then they told us not to tell us anything. A day later, they have us all, every kid that's at Turnabout, they have us all sit in a circle, and they're like, listen, there was an incident, I know some of y'all heard it over the walkies, Jimmy died.
Sleep deprivation, malnutrition, isolation, monitored letters home so kids couldn't report what was actually happening to them. By 16, she was in actual rehab for drug abuse, and her father, absent, completely out of the picture. Who can really blame the way she showed up on that show when you look at what was surrounding her? This wasn't some white girl looking for attention. This was clearly a child surviving a system of relentless exploitation and abuse.
My mother signed a consent of release of information to send progress reports directly from Turnabout to the Dr. Phil show.
But here's where things get a little bit complicated. Danielle didn't sell her pain as white pain.
Shit, I don't know where the fuck you got their milk from. Definitely ain't I no fucking cow.
She didn't take the trailer park teen makes it out narrative that, you know, she could have sold the media. She repackaged her trauma in the aesthetics of Blackness and sold it to a culture that was already trained to consume it. And in a similar way to Alabama, she basically used it as trauma armor. So this is what trauma psychologists call a survival self, a mask that is built to protect the most wounded parts of you. Danielle's survival came wrapped in the performance of Black girlhood. you know, loud, tough, sexual, unbothered. This is the paradox of racial performance. Danielle was celebrated for performing a version of blackness that actual black girls are demonized for in reality. So when you strip back the politics from black womanhood and keep only the performance part of it, what you're left with is drag. And Danielle, her brand is bad bitch drag, ghetto fabulous drag. And of course, the industry loved it. That's why we're still talking about her today. So after all of this, she blew up. Her rap career blew up. Her OnlyFans broke records because she sold a hypersexualized hood persona to audiences that had been watching her since she was 13. There was actually a countdown for her to go legal, which is a whole video in itself. She got brand deals, magazine covers, podcast interviews, not because the culture cared about her story, but because she turned it into a ghetto fabulous spectacle. She became a millionaire by essentially giving people something to gawk at. And then came Levon, or LV, the man Danielle had a child with, who cheated on her while she was pregnant, abused her while she was battling cancer, and then turned around and started messing around with Alabama Barker at his big age. If you let him at your side, he ain't coming home. And still punched Danielle for apparently being unfaithful in all of this. It's a whole mess that I don't want to get into. And maybe that's partly why Danielle won't leave him. Maybe it's not just trauma bonding, but branding. Because yes, he's her partner, but he's also part of her whole aesthetic. The hood boyfriend, the edge, the validation. We saw it with Kylie Jenner and Alabama. And then when Alabama, the next hood princess snow bunny in the pipeline, slid into that same dynamic, Danielle didn't just get mad, she got territorial. She went live, she threw shade, she said Alabama was being passed around back to back to back. Also made money off that too, because how many views did her diss track get again? And yeah, at first it looked like she was doing the classic thing, blaming the girl, not the man. But if you listen closely, it almost sounds like a bit of a warning, because Danielle knows this game, she knows this life, she's lived it. And now she's watching Alabama walk into it. But instead of coming in with trauma, Alabama's coming in cold. No scars, just vibes and a ring light. And that's when the pipeline stops being imitation and starts being competition, because these girls started fighting each other and they turned on each other. White girls fighting over proximity to blackness, competing to be the baddest, fighting over the same men. This is basically what the whole beef was about. It was a turf war for the right to be able to appropriate black men and culture. They were literally competing. It's cannibalistic. And the thing that makes things worse for me is that Danielle has repeatedly denied appropriating black culture every time that she has been called out for it.
I look at that cultural appropriation shit and I just ignore it because it's ridiculous. It really is. You cannot act the color. Do not tell me I'm acting black, because I'm not. I'm acting whatever you want to call it, urban. I don't even have a name for it. I just call it me. That's what I call it. How I act is me. I get braids all the time. You can't tell me I'm acting black because I braid my hair.
Of course, it's deflection, a textbook example of what Michael Eric Dyson calls strategic ignorance, which is pretending not to understand how power and history shape everything about these dynamics. She, like Kylie Jenner, built a multi-billion-dollar brand by performing a caricature of black girlhood. And when Black woman called it out, she didn't reflect on it. She just doubled down and made it part of the bit. So cultural appropriation to her isn't a serious critique. It's just a nuisance, opportunity for her to clap back and get more virality. It's tempting to make Danielle either a villain or a victim, but she's both. She was a child who was failed by everyone around her, but she also built an empire on capitalizing off her pain and filtering it through someone else's culture. And she made millions while the girls that she imitated never really get the same grace or attention or payback. So no. Bhad Bhabie isn't Alabama Barker playing hood in her dad's mansion. She's what happens when a broken system turns a traumatized white girl into content and then hands her a costume and a paycheck. That cash me outside moment. She's just figured out how to continually reproduce that moment. And while she was trapped in her own cycle of exploitation, she also played into and profited from the exploitation of black culture. For girls like Kylie and Alabama, black culture is a costume they can wear until it's no longer profitable. For Danielle, it was a way to sell her survival story to a world that otherwise wouldn't actually care about her suffering. And while they rinse their image clean, Black culture remains the site of endless consumption, never compensation. And I find it interesting, especially at a time now where it seems like Blackness is kind of leaving the mainstream. You know, we're no longer seeing BBL bodies anymore, the fake tans going, white women are embracing their white womanhood, you know, even hip hop is kind of starting to not be the most mainstream culture, the most popular culture on the charts. So I'm really interested to see how this whole cultural appropriation of Black culture goes in the future, because it's interesting to see that Alabama Barker has still kind of tapped into it at all. As always, let me know what you thought about the video. If you have any hot takes, if you disagree with anything I'm saying, if there's anything that I haven't considered here. As you know, the comment section is always a party on an Aphrodisia video, so make sure you get amongst it and you let me know what you think. I love chatting to you guys in there and replying back, so everyone is welcome, whether you have nice things to say or not. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video.